This one is from a guy called George Pennock, and he says this one was from over a year ago, by the way. Drinking for 38 years, with the last 12 years daily. Recent medical showed warning signs and a major wake-up call. It's time to turn my life around. Day one. I've also got some replies to look at as well after I've talked about this. But for me, those warning signs, you never know what are going to be the warning signs for you. You never know what's going to hit you as a warning sign. You know, you drank for over 30 years. I drank for over, you drank for over 38 years. I drank for 30 years. And in those 30 years that I was drinking, there were plenty of warning signs that I could have taken notice of, but I didn't want to. And I think that's the point. I think when you go to a doctor sometimes, it can be one of the warning signs that you pay attention to. Or it might not be. It might be something that you pay attention to for a little while, and it makes you think about things for a little while. But you know what alcohol does in general? It helps you to stop thinking about the things that you don't want to think about. So, you know, I'm glad that you stopped. I have to congratulate you, first of all. Day one. And none of this is about you and your drinking. Like you're saying, it's just going through some of the things for other people that might find help who haven't drank for 30 years or 38 years. Or people who are getting involved in this earlier on and they're seeing early warning signs. I mean, you know, when it comes down to it, the signs are there from day one, right? As soon as you put alcohol into your mouth, the taste of it for a start, right? You know, there's very few people who like the taste of alcohol when they drink it. That's why they have to dress it up as lemonade or what do they call it? It's like candy. You know, they have a sweet taste to it when you're young. That's how they get you on board. That's how they get you on board. Like any drug dealer, they give you the samples that you like, and then eventually you're drinking whatever. They don't have to advertise to people who are 10 years into this and have established themselves as drinking a certain drink, a certain brand of drink. I was a Guinness man, but only for the last 20 years, I suppose, in Ireland. I mean, before that, I didn't have the money to go out drinking Guinness and buy Guinness. It was cheap drink, so we used to buy bottles of cider. But the signs are there from day one. Like I said, it's that taste, and then, you know, you've got it's a very unusual and disconcerting feeling when you get drunk for the first time, because you don't know what the hell is going on. You know it's associated with the alcohol. I remember the first time I got drunk, and you have everything else with that. You know, your head is spinning. Everything from your stomach is being expelled from your body. And that's not a nice feeling. You know, you don't know when it's going to end. You don't know, you've never had this before. You don't know if this is something normal, if it's not normal. And that's your body telling you, what the fuck are you doing? Stop doing this, you know. Don't do this anymore. Why? So there's plenty of warning signs all the way up, but we tend to, in our cultures, to ignore the warning signs. We tend to go with the flow. Your body is always going to look at alcohol in one way, and that's as a toxin. As soon as you put alcohol into your body shuts down a lot of the natural processes that it is supposed to do on a minute by minute basis to keep you alive, to keep you functioning properly, to keep your body functioning, to keep your brain functioning. And we pour this alcohol in because it's fun for us to do it. That's the perception. But your body still looks at it like a toxin and will treat it like a toxin as soon as it comes in. So, you know, it's one of the reasons why people never sleep well when you're drunk, is because your body is on high alert. Your body is on this. The security bells are ringing. You know, there's an invasion of this poison. Let's get rid of the poison. One of the reasons why you go into a coma is so that you're knocked out. Knock out the idiot, I used to think. about myself. And then the body can get on with dealing with the poison. So, a recent medical show, warning signs, and a major wake-up call. You know what all those wake-up calls are? They're all opportunities. They're all opportunities to take a different path, to really think about what we're doing. And like I say, a major wake-up call is only a perception. So a lot of wake-up calls have happened in your life in that 38 years that you were drinking, 30 years I was drinking. A lot of wake-up calls have happened that we have ignored, or we've not taken any notice of. They've just gone in one ear and out the other, or in our eyes and wherever that goes. So when you see the major wake-up call, that's an opportunity. And the thing is, none of us have to wait for that to happen. All we have to do is to look at what's happening now and push ourselves forward and use our imagination. Take what's happening now and multiply it. Multiply the ill feelings that you have now and multiply that out, because just because we tolerate alcohol, the tolerance levels go up, so you're able to tolerate more alcohol. The damage that doesn't mean to say you're able to mitigate any of the damage. The damage is the same. The damage actually gets worse because your organs become affected. The more damage that happens to your organs, the less capable they are of that normal processing that they're supposed to do. So, as you get older, the hangovers get worse. The hangovers get longer. They feel worse. You just feel worse in general for longer. The withdrawal gets worse. You don't feel withdrawal when you're younger because it's only slight, but you do have a withdrawal. This is a drug. As soon as you're used to the drug and your body your body and your brain, your system is now attuned to the alcohol. Once those tolerance levels are there, then you are getting a withdrawal when you stop. It's just that you might not notice the withdrawal. You won't notice the withdrawal. But part of that period where you're going into hangover, part of that period you're also withdrawing from the alcohol. I'm not saying that the hangover, the hangover is the withdrawal is not part of the hangover, but the hangover is definitely part of the withdrawal. So, like I said, you don't have to wait for any of this to happen, any of these warning signs to happen. All you have to do is use your imagination and push yourself down the road. I think one of the best analogies for this is the Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens, and it's Ebenezer Scrooge. I think all drinkers are a form of Ebenezer Scrooge, right? Not in terms of money, but in terms of, let's say the money is the habit or the money is the alcohol, think about when we're drinking and when we're in the habit of drinking, how kind of, if anyone tried to take your drink off you, it's kind of that skinflint thing with the alcohol. I was talking to somebody earlier on about the way that you can become sneaky with trying to get more alcohol. I used to, I'd pour out a glass for Esther and a glass for myself. I'd take a big glug out of my own glass and then pour more into it, right? So that I could get more. There was loads of tricks like that I did to myself. So it is kind of like a skinflint with the alcohol. But we're talking here about that. The three ghosts: the Christmas past, Christmas future, Christmas present, Christmas future. And when you look at the Christmas past, that's when before you started on the drugs, and it takes him back and he's looking at all the fun he used to have as a child, and before we ever got onto the drugs, before we ever I drank at 12, but I wasn't really into it until I was 18. And then, so that's my start date, even though I say, well, I started drinking at 12. And then Christmas present is looking at what, all the shit that's happening now and what's happening in your life now because you're drinking. And then Christmas future is multiplying that out and saying, this is the end result. This is what's going to happen to you if you continue down this road. And the moral is that you can change. You know, once you use your own imagination and say, if I take what I'm doing now and I push myself down the road 5 years, 10 years, that should show me all the warning signs that I need to show, and being a big major wake-up call. I want to just go over a couple of, because like I said, this one was a year ago, and there's a couple of comments, and then he left another message a week later. He said, my first week of alcohol-free is done. It's over 20 years. I feel great. No major withdrawal so far. I have much more time on my hands instead of wasting it. Good luck to you. And then he comes back a bit later and he said, all is great. Over 9 weeks off the sauce and I feel great. Alcohol-free beers such as Guinness and Erdinger help take the edge off. And I've left him a message just asking him if there is any update on the journey. I hope he's still on it. I hope you're still on it, George, if you see this. Fair play to you. Thank you very much for leaving the message. And like I said, I'm not giving out to you. I think we're all there. Most of the people here are decades into a drinking habit that we never thought about as a drinking habit. We just did it. It was part of our lives, part of our identities. And then we stop, or we make attempts to stop, because of things that are happening, because we see those warning signs, because we see those wake-up calls in our lives, or because we see the things that are happening in our lives that we're not yet looking at as wake-up calls. There's plenty of things that, once I stopped and then I look back at all the things that had kind of were pushing me towards making the decision to moderate first, to try and moderate first. All of those things were pushing me in that direction of not drinking. It's just that I hadn't found the right one to motivate me enough so that I could step across. Don't forget, when we're drinking, there's a lot of conflict inside. There's part of us that wants to keep drinking, and the other part wants to stop. And the part of you that wants to keep drinking, that's got the habit behind it, which is a powerful thing. So you need to have a strong motivation. And all the motivation has to be, that commitment has to be, is I am not putting the alcohol into my mouth anymore. That's it. That's my choice. And it's a simple choice from that perspective. I either drink or I don't drink. I know where my life is going if I continue to drink. I don't know where my life is going if I stop drinking, but it has to be better than that. And I think that's all you need to know at the beginning, and just push yourself, commit to that one thing, and you're good to go. And then everything else is you deal with that as it comes, because a lot of the time what we're dealing with is our fears, and we're using our imagination in a negative way instead of using our imagination and looking forwards and going, well, this is where I'm going to be. I can see where I am in 5 years' time. I can smell it. The person I'm going to be when my liver stops functioning, right? When my wallet is empty, when all of these things are happening to me because I didn't stop. And it's hard to see, it's hard to judge where you're going to be, but it's going to be better than that. Keep that in your mind. All right, take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you in the next video. If you have any questions at all, any problems, please leave them below. Be as specific as you can. The more specific you can be, the better advice I can give you. All right, onwards and upwards. Bye now.